Let me tell you this. We can stand here for all eternity, and I will never choose to go with you.
Will come into my matrix.
Go back to hell.
10 seconds! The freighter's shields are weakening.
Target their cargo hold.
We're crossing the threshold!
Torpedoes.
The stars streak by as a small ship is hurled across the galaxy, flung 70,000 light years from home. In an instant, the crew of the USS Voyager faces the unthinkable, a 75-year journey back to Earth. This single moment in the pilot episode, Caretaker, would define one of the most ambitious entries in the Star Trek franchise. When Star Trek Voyager premiered in January 1995, the television landscape was dramatically different. The internet was in its infancy, streaming didn't exist, and science fiction was still considered a niche genre despite Star Trek The Next Generation's success. As UPN's flagship series during the network's launch, Voyager carried enormous expectations. With a reported budget of approximately $1.7 million per episode, substantial for mid-90s television, the show represented a significant investment in the Trek universe. What made Voyager such a fascinating departure was its premise: a Federation starship cut off from Starfleet, forced to integrate with a crew of freedom fighters, navigating unknown space with limited resources. While The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine explored how the Federation functioned within its established borders, Voyager asked a more challenging question: what happens when Starfleet principles are tested without the support system that upholds them? This wasn't just another space adventure. It was a bold reimagining of the Trek formula that placed its characters in genuine isolation. For the first time, we witnessed a crew that couldn't call for reinforcements, couldn't stop at a starbase for repairs, and couldn't rely on diplomatic relations established over centuries. In many ways, Voyager represented the purest test of Gene Roddenberry's humanist ideals. Would Federation principles hold firm when facing the unknown, unsupported, and alone? As we explore Voyager's journey through 7 seasons, we'll discover how this premise created unique storytelling opportunities, challenged established Trek conventions, and ultimately expanded our understanding of what Star Trek could be. Much like its namesake vessel, Voyager charted a path through unexplored territory, both for its characters and for television science fiction as a whole. The bridge is bathed in red alert lighting. Captain Janeway stands resolute as dozens of Borg cubes fill the view screen. Mr. Paris, set a course for the heart of the Borg Collective. This moment from Scorpion exemplifies what made Voyager's visual storytelling so compelling: the willingness to place our heroes directly in the path of overwhelming danger. Voyager pushed technical boundaries during a transformative period for television production. The series marked Star Trek's gradual transition from physical models to CGI, often blending both techniques in single sequences. Early seasons maintained the traditional use of detailed practical models, particularly for hero shots of the Voyager itself. A sleek departure from previous Federation designs with its streamlined nacelles and aerodynamic profile. By the later seasons, CGI capabilities had evolved sufficiently to create spectacular space battles like the Borg species 847-2 conflict and the memorable temporal instances of Year of Hell, where we witness the ship's progressive destruction. The series' unique visual identity emerged through its alien designs. Unlike the Alpha Quadrant's familiar territory, the Delta Quadrant demanded truly foreign aesthetics. The biomechanical horrors of Species 847-2, the asymmetrical vessels of the Hirogen, and the assimilated complexity of Borg architecture all contributed to a sense of genuine otherness. Production designer Richard James and his team faced the weekly challenge of creating environments that felt simultaneously alien yet believable within Trek's established universe. Perhaps Voyager's greatest technical achievement was its seamless integration of the holographic Doctor. While holographic characters had appeared previously in Trek, Robert Picardo's Doctor required consistent interaction with the physical world. This demanded precise coordination between actors and visual effects teams, particularly for episodes like Heroes and Demons, where the Doctor's existence extended beyond sickbay. The series pioneered techniques for interactive lighting and practical effects that would influence countless future productions. Behind the scenes, Voyager faced unique production challenges. Executive producers Rick Berman and Michael Piller initially developed the series as another exploration of Trek's humanist themes, but with the added dimension of isolation. When Piller departed, and Brannon Braga took on greater creative control alongside Jerry Taylor, the series evolved to emphasize high-concept science fiction premises while maintaining character development. This creative tension produced some of the series' most innovative episodes. The production team had to balance standalone adventures with serialized storytelling, knowing that syndication requirements demanded episodes that could be watched in any order. This constraint pushed writers to develop self-contained stories that still advance character arcs, a storytelling approach that influenced countless series that followed. Episodes like Distant Origin demonstrated how Voyager could explore complex themes of scientific dogma and cultural resistance to change within a single hour of television. Voyager's practical effects deserved particular recognition. From the Vidayan's grotesque organ harvesting makeup to the detailed prosthetics for recurring species like the Talaxians and Kazan, the series maintained Trek's tradition of physical transformation. These tangible elements grounded the more fantastical aspects of the storytelling, creating a believable universe despite the increasingly digital production landscape. What truly distinguished Voyager in the Trek canon was its willingness to isolate characters completely from their support systems. When the Doctor's mobile emitter malfunctioned or the ship's power reserves depleted, the stakes felt genuinely life-threatening in ways that previous series couldn't match. This production choice, to show a Starfleet crew truly on their own, created narrative possibilities that expanded the boundaries of what Star Trek stories could explore. When Voyager launched across the galaxy, it wasn't just a starship being tested, it was the characters aboard. At the helm stood Captain Kathryn Janeway, brilliantly portrayed by Kate Mulgrew, who stepped into the role after Genevieve Bujold's departure just days into filming. Mulgrew didn't just break ground. As Trek's first female series captain, she created a uniquely scientific, maternal, and fiercely determined leader. In episodes like Tuvix and Scorpion, Mulgrew balanced Janeway's unwavering command presence with visible inner conflict, showing the isolation of leadership without Starfleet's support structure. Robert Picardo's emergency medical hologram evolved from a technical convenience to Voyager's philosophical heart. Initially programmed for temporary use, the Doctor's forced permanent activation created a fascinating journey from program to person. Picardo infused the character with sharp wit and surprising vulnerability. Episodes like Latent Image, where an ethical crisis nearly destroyed his program, pushed Trek's exploration of artificial personhood into new territory. Jerry Ryan's 7 of 9, introduced in Season 4, transformed both the series and the franchise. Though initially controversial for her form-fitting costume, Ryan quickly established Seven as a compelling exploration of reclaimed humanity. Her journey from stating "resistance is futile" to gradually embracing individuality created some of Voyager's most emotionally resonant moments, particularly in her mentorship relationships with Janeway and the Doctor. Tim Russ deserves special recognition for his portrayal of Tuvok, offering the most fully realized Vulcan since Nimoy's Spock. Russ found subtle ways to suggest emotional depth beneath Tuvok's logical exterior, particularly in episodes like Gravity and Riddles. His long-standing friendship with Janeway provided one of the show's most compelling dynamics. The show's most memorable moments emerged from these character interactions rather than special effects. 7, declaring the Borg were merely annoyed by Starfleet. The Doctor experiencing profound loss through his holographic family. Janeway and Chakotay establishing fragile domesticity while stranded together. These scenes resonated because they explored how extraordinary circumstances affected ordinary human connections. Behind these performances lay fascinating casting decisions that shaped Voyager's unique identity. Before settling on Mulgrew, producers briefly considered making Chakotay the series lead. Picardo originally auditioned for Neelix. Jennifer Lyon's Kes was written out to make room for Seven, dramatically altering the series' trajectory. These production choices ultimately created something special, a show about finding family among strangers when thrown into the unknown. When Star Trek Voyager premiered in January 1995 as UPN's flagship series, critical response was decidedly mixed. While many praised Kate Mulgrew's groundbreaking Captain Janeway, others criticized the show for playing it safe despite its revolutionary premise. Early reviews noted that Voyager seemed less gritty than Deep Space Nine and less philosophical than Next Generation, with the Los Angeles Times calling it predictable despite its potential. Dedicated Trek fans, already invested in DS9's increasingly serialized storytelling, often unfavorably compared Voyager's more episodic approach. The early seasons particularly struggled to find their footing. The Kazan, intended as compelling recurring antagonists, failed to capture audience imagination the way Klingons or the Borg had previously. Ratings, while respectable by UPN standards, never matched TNG's numbers. The show seemed caught between its premise of isolation and network demands for accessible, standalone episodes. Season 4 marked a dramatic turning point with the introduction of 7 of 9. Initially dismissed by critics as a transparent ratings grab with her form-fitting costume, Jerry Ryan's nuanced performance quickly silenced detractors. 7 created fresh character dynamics and philosophical questions about humanity that reinvigorated the series. This casting change coincided with a creative renaissance in the writers' room, producing bold concept episodes like Living Witness, Course, Oblivion, and Year of Hell that gained critical appreciation. The most persistent criticism throughout Voyager's run was its perceived inconsistency with its own premise. The Gilligan's Island in space concept suggested a gradually deteriorating ship with dwindling resources, yet episodes frequently ended with everything restored to normal. Executive producer Brannon Braga later acknowledged this tension between serialized storytelling and network pressure for accessibility. By the series' conclusion in 2001, critical reception had warmed considerably. The finale drew 8.8 million viewers, becoming UPN's highest-rated program that season. In retrospect, critics began recognizing how Voyager had established its own identity by examining how Federation principles could survive when stripped of institutional support. Today, streaming access has allowed new generations to discover Voyager without weekly broadcast expectations. Modern viewers often appreciate its standalone episodes and character focus in contrast to today's heavily serialized shows. What once seemed like production limitations are now recognized as artistic choices that allowed Voyager to tell uniquely Trek stories about exploration, ethics, and finding home against impossible odds. 25 years after its final episode, Star Trek Voyager's influence resonates throughout science fiction television in ways both obvious and subtle. The series pioneered storytelling approaches that would become industry standards and introduced concepts that continue to shape the evolving Star Trek universe. Voyager's most enduring contribution may be its expansion of what a Star Trek protagonist could be. By placing Captain Janeway at the helm, the series broke the franchise's glass ceiling and established that leadership in the Trek universe wasn't defined by gender. This groundbreaking choice paved the way for Discovery's Michael Burnham and future female captains. Kate Mulgrew's return as Janeway in the animated series Prodigy demonstrated the character's lasting impact, introducing her leadership model to a new generation of viewers. The series' exploration of artificial intelligence through the Doctor directly influenced modern science fiction's approach to synthetic life. Before Westworld's hosts or Battlestar Galactica's Cylons questioned their personhood, Picardo's Doctor was gradually discovering his humanity. Episodes like Author, where he fought for the legal rights to his creative work, anticipated contemporary discussions about AI ethics and consciousness that have only grown more relevant in our increasingly automated world. Voyager's isolated setting established a template followed by shows like Battlestar Galactica's Reimagining, Stargate Universe, and even non-science fiction series like Lost. The concept of a community cut off from their civilization, forced to adapt while maintaining their principles, has become a staple narrative framework. Ronald D. Moore, who would later create the Battlestar Galactica reboot, worked briefly on Voyager, and has acknowledged how its premise influenced his approach to serialized storytelling, even as he took it in darker directions. The technological innovations introduced in Voyager continue to shape the Trek universe. Seven's Borg implants were recently reimagined in Picard, while the mobile emitter that allowed the Doctor freedom beyond sickbay established precedents for holographic rights explored in later Trek iterations. Even Janeway's famous replicator rationing became a precursor to Discovery's exploration of resource scarcity in the 32nd century. What makes Voyager particularly relevant today is its exploration of blending disparate cultures under challenging circumstances. The integration of Starfleet and Maquis crews reflected modern workplace dynamics where people of different backgrounds and ideologies must find common purpose. Episodes exploring the ethics of first contact, like Time and Again and Prime Factors, raise questions about cultural intervention that resonate. Contemporary global politics. In the streaming era, Voyager has found new appreciation from viewers who can experience the series as a complete journey rather than week-by-week installments. The standalone nature of episodes, once criticized as a limitation, now allows new audiences to drop in at any point without feeling lost. This accessibility has contributed to Voyager's continued popularity among both Trek veterans and newcomers, discovering the franchise through platforms like Netflix and Paramount+. Perhaps most significantly, Voyager demonstrated that Star Trek could reinvent itself while maintaining core principles. By testing Starfleet ideals in the uncharted Delta Quadrant, the series proved that Roddenberry's humanist vision could survive even when stripped of its institutional support. This theme of principles persisting through isolation directly influenced later Trek series, particularly Enterprise's third season and Discovery's leap to the far future. As we navigate our own increasingly complex world, Voyager's central question remains profoundly relevant. Can our highest ideals survive when tested by extreme circumstances? The series answered with cautious optimism, suggesting that principles matter most precisely when they're difficult to maintain. In a fractured cultural landscape, this message resonates perhaps more powerfully today than when Voyager first began its journey home. The final scene of Endgame captures what makes Voyager endure in our collective imagination. As a battle-scarred ship approaches Earth after 7 years lost in space, Admiral Paris asks, "How did they get home?" The answer is the same as it has always been in Star Trek's finest moments: through scientific innovation, cultural understanding, and unwavering belief in a better future. In that sense, Voyager's journey continues in every Trek story that follows, carrying forward its legacy of exploration, resilience, and hope across the stars. What was your favorite Voyager episode? Share in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into science fiction's most influential series. Until next time, live long and prosper.